with Dr. Ish, and today I want to be attending to a very, very sensitive topic. I've had a lot of financial discussions with people over the past 2 decades, and one of the very crucial questions I keep hearing is why do rich people stay rich, and then other people that are hustling so hard find it difficult to become rich, right? Why do rich people stay rich? And then other people hustle so much and are unable to be rich. It's possible that you may be guilty of some of the reasons I'm going to be sharing, and these are just basic practical things that you can do to help yourself build wealth. And you remember what I always talk about. So, keen on you being able to not only become financially independent, but to build sustainability with your finance no matter how little you earn. And one of the things that I always talk about is the fact that you don't have to earn hundreds, millions, and thousands of dollars to be financially sound, to actually build something that is sustainable and will last you, for a very long time. All you need to do is to start small,
Not
start from
great.
somewhere,
At the end of
and be consistent as much as possible, right? So part of the things that I've discovered rich people have that is so different from what other people experience is the mentality. I'll say it again. Part of the thing that changes, that is a difference between somebody who has wealth or is rich with somebody who is still struggling. One of the major thing is the mindset. The mindset. It is so so important. And this mindset is what actually helps you to gain clarity, to gain understanding, and to also understand exactly what your priorities are. Now, your priorities can come in different ways. It could be that your priority is you want to be rich, or your priority is you want to be wealthy. But trust me, there's a significant difference between being rich and being wealthy. And that's something that I always talk about consistently. Two different things. Now, the very first thing is to understand that the rich think differently from the poor. The rich always think differently from the poor. That's why I said it starts from the mindset. Now, what are these difference in thoughts between the rich and the poor? And the very first thing is that the rich think in assets. They buy businesses, they buy real estate, they buy equity, and they buy cash flow assets. I'll take that again. The difference between a rich man or a wealthy man and a poor man starts with the mindset, the mentality. And this is not about motivational speaking. This is basic facts. The very first thing that differentiates a rich man and a poor man, and the reason why the rich stay rich, the first step is that they think in assets. The rich think about acquisition. They continuously acquire. They continuously acquire assets. Rich people continuously acquire things that will keep them rich or make them richer, right? A rich man, a rich business person, a rich salary minded person will continuously look for ways to acquire assets. And when I mean assets, I'm talking about fixed assets, liquid assets, and different assets cut across different asset class. What are these assets that rich people buy that keeps them rich? They buy businesses. Rich people buy businesses. They look for businesses that are struggling, that they can revamp and make more money from. They buy real estate, that is houses or lands. They look at places that they can revamp and they buy into real estate. And if you've never thought about real estate before, you don't need thousands of dollars to buy into real estate. It's a very lucrative business, very lucrative investment, and something I think you should look into. At whatever level. You don't need thousands of dollars, you don't need millions of dollars to start real estate. This is part of the things that keep rich people rich. They buy into businesses, they buy real estate, and they buy equity. They also buy cash flow assets. So they just don't have only lifestyle upgrades. The smart rich people, even when they're upgrading their lifestyles, they have assets that help them to keep the momentum on those lifestyles. That is what they do. That's a difference. One of the major differences between rich people and poor people. What keeps them rich is that they buy assets. This is the one of the most major things you can, if it's a breakthrough for anyone who is really interested into building wealth. And like I said, wealth doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't come overnight. It's a steady build, it's a steady climb. So the very first thing you need to think of why rich people stay rich is that they buy businesses, they buy real estate, they buy equity, and they buy cash flow assets. The easiest for you to understand, especially because it's just basic finance we are talking here, is real estate. Real estate is a very lucrative investment. I'm talking about buying houses, buying land, rent, and what have you. Real estate generally, all you need to do is to do your research in your area, any part of the world you are in, and connect with real estate agents and find how you can get into that kind of business. Right? Remember, I said they buy into businesses, they buy into real estate, they buy into equity, and they buy cash flow assets. I'm talking about stock exchange as well, ETFs as well. And for those that are very interested in agricultural products and farming, those are the kind of investments rich people get involved in. Now, another thing that keeps rich people rich is they separate their status from wealth. Rich people don't perform wealth, they protect their wealth. Have you ever noticed when you meet really rich and wealthy people, they never like to lose a dime? It's almost as if they are stingy with money. Check it, find out. The really rich and wealthy people, they do not like to lose their money. They do not like to lose a dollar. They do not like to lose a pound. And that's why I said, when you want to, if you're really serious about becoming wealthy, if you're really serious about becoming rich, you have to first of all change your mindset on your priorities. As against poor people who would prefer to spend money to look good, to increase their lifestyle, even when they know financially they cannot afford those things. A rich person would rather buy assets. The more money they get, the more things they acquire. Rich people, if you've noticed, like to buy all the houses, buy all the businesses. Any business they see struggling, they want to buy into it. They love to buy, and buy. But they don't just buy designer shoes, bags, and all that. They buy businesses. And because of those businesses they buy, they don't focus on only one kind of business. Some get into financial exchange, some get into gold business, some get into farming. Real rich and wealthy people are involved in more than one business. They invest in more than one business. They spread their risk in different. Yes. Yes, sorry, the network went off briefly. Right, so like I said, the rich people invest in businesses. They don't necessarily have to run the businesses, they invest in the businesses. Any business they feel is lucrative, any business they feel can bring money to them, they go into that business and invest in the business. That's what rich people do. They don't have to do 10 side hustles, 20 side hustles. No, that's not working smart. What they do is they find people that are good in certain businesses and they invest. Of course, they do the normal paperwork, they sign the normal paperwork, but they invest in those businesses. That is basically one of the very smart things that rich people do to stay rich. They look for businesses, they look for people that are very smart in certain businesses and they invest in those businesses. Real estate too is something else they do. They invest in real estate. They look for businesses that consistently bring capital to them, that consistently generate income. That is what rich people do. Poor people, on the other hand, or people that are not being financially intelligent, would rather use those monies to buy things that they really don't need or things that have no value. And anything you buy that has no value is not an asset, it is called a liability. So rich people don't perform wealth, they protect their wealth. And that is one of the reasons why any rich person you see that is really, really business minded, they hate to lose a dollar, they hate to lose a pound, they hate to lose their money. But some other people are really careless about money. And then another thing is that rich people
End of the day, it's also worth remembering.
their expenses. They track every money they spend. They know, they have the figures of head, the figures of their financial worth. They track every single thing that they do with money. But many people don't do that, and that's why they become broke at the end of the day. They start asking themselves, where did the money go? No, there's nothing like where did the money go. You didn't keep track of your money. Now, another thing that keeps rich people rich is they reinvest aggressively. They don't celebrate how rich they are. They don't say, I mean, yeah, the set of people that celebrate themselves, oh, I'm so rich, I have so million dollars. That's fine. But the really smart, business savvy, rich people that are raking in so much money, they know how to reinvest aggressively. And how do they do this? When they discover a business they invest in is doing well, they reinvest more into that business. Let me use an example, the stock exchange. If they invest into certain stocks and the stocks is yielding good returns, they gather more money and reinvest in that same stocks and gain double. So one of the things that differentiates rich people from people who are just hustling and not understanding how to build wealth or make money is that the rich people know how to reinvest. They don't just invest, they invest aggressively. Any business they invest in and they see it's giving them good ROI, which is return on investment, they go back and invest double. So they don't just sit down and celebrate what they've made. They get what they've made, their profits, and they reinvest it so that they can multiply their wealth. So every win for a rich man, for a wealthy man, becomes an asset. They tend to not have so much liquid cash. They have more assets than they have liquid money. And when I mean liquid money, I'm talking about cash sitting in the bank account. Other people hustling so hard would rather have so much money sitting in the bank account doing nothing. You gain no interest if your funds is sitting in the bank. Your money should be working for you. So when you earn your salary, when you earn your income, the wisest and smartest financial thing to do is to get the money out of the bank and invest it. That is what rich people do to stay rich. They don't go doing 10 businesses. They find the businesses that work, they invest in the businesses, and if they're getting good returns on investment, they reinvest again to multiply what they are already making. So every win is an asset. They would rather buy more houses. For instance, if you buy a house and you're making $10,000 in rent from that house, what they do is they go to that same area and buy yet another house and multiply their income. That is one of the ways they make themselves stay richer. Of course, everything in business, everything in life involves risk. It just depends on you. And that is the reason why rich people who are really, really mindful about how they make money and want to keep being rich are very finicky about every dime that they make. They keep track of every kobo they make. They have their books are audited, their books, financial books are in order. You don't need to be a billionaire or a millionaire to keep your finance in order. All you need to do is to track your expenses, track what comes in and track what goes out. How much do you earn? How much do you spend? When do you spend? And what are those things you spend on? Where do you keep your money? How is your money growing? What are the interests on your money? What is your financial worth? You should check your financial worth every quarter. So ask yourself, how much am I worth right now? Am I worth up to $1,000 in assets? Or am I worth $500 in cash. So that is what you need to ask yourself. And this is what rich people do. They check their money every single day. And I'm not saying obsess over it. No. I'm saying keep track. Be conscious of the monies that you are making. Rich people invest and invest and invest. They're always sniffing around looking for businesses to invest in. And any business they invest in that is giving them good returns on investment, they reinvest double to multiply their wealth. So rich people apply financial structure and financial discipline. They know how to delay gratification. They don't spend everything on buying jewelries. See, the people that spend on jewelries and clothes and all those are normally celebrities, and that is fine. They need that lifestyle because of the kind of job they do. But real business gurus, the real people making real money, they invest, and not only invest, they buy businesses, and they buy businesses, they buy equity, and they buy cash flow assets, and they buy real estate. They look for businesses that they are sure they can manage the risk level of those businesses. So rich people don't perform wealth, they protect what they have. They don't want to lose what they have. So they guard it and they make sure that they grow what they have. And that's why I always say that if you are earning a salary or you have a business or several side incomes, once your fund comes in, the first thing you should do is to separate your funds into different types of accounts. Remember what I always preach: the emergency fund, the investment fund account, your day-to-day expenses tracking, as well as your long-term goals. If you don't do this, it will be very difficult to become wealthy. You're just going to be spending every single dime that comes to you. And this is not to say you can't buy yourself Gucci bags, Gucci shoes, and you can't go on a vacation. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that you should plan every dime you earn. Yes, you have a family to take care of, you have people to take care of, and you want to be able to have a nice time. But you also have to remember that the energy level you have to work in your 20s or your 30s and your 40s will definitely not be the same when you're in your 50s and your 60s. So this wealth you build now is what will protect you when you are much older. Now, another thing that rich people do that keeps them rich is they have insurance, right? They have insurance. So this is something, if you don't have, you need to go and do your research and find out how you can start having insurance. Now, there are different types of insurance. There's the life insurance, there's the education insurance, and what insurance does for you is it protects you against loss. As long as you're, I'll do a live feed, I'll do a live video about insurance policies maybe next week. Rich people have insurance. They have fire insurance, they have life insurance, they have different kind of insurance policies to help them to not lose their money. Remember what I said: rich people protect their wealth and they grow their wealth. They protect it and they grow it. They protect it against loss. So every dime being spent is coming from one of their assets. So when you see those heavy lifestyles, many of them are already protected and insured. So anything that gets missing from them, if their car gets stolen, if a fire burns their house or something happens, they usually have insurance policies that protect their assets. So another thing rich people do is when they acquire assets, they acquire insurance backing those assets. So when a rich man buys a car, he registers the car under an insurance policy. So if the car gets lost or the car gets damaged, the insurance company pays them. When rich people buy houses, they insure their homes. So if there's loss or damage, the insurance company pays them. Can you see it? So, one of the things you should always look out for is to insure your properties and to insure your assets. That's just the basic fact. Another thing rich people do that helps them stay rich is they diversify their investment portfolios. They don't invest in only one place. So there's a saying, that happens in my part of the world. They say don't put all your eggs in one basket, and that is what rich people do. They don't put all their investments in one place. They invest in different kinds of businesses so that even if they lose in this place, they're not going to lose in everything. That is what smart rich people do. So apart from ensuring their assets, they also diversify their wealth. They don't invest, they don't pour
This
everything that they
Loki, the
have
god of
in
stories,
one place. Now, another thing that rich people do that keeps them rich is they do what is called low emotional spending. They don't spend because they just feel good. No. Anything they spend or anything they buy must have what is called a second hand value. It must be something that can be sold later to still give them some money back. So if they're buying a car, it has to be something that if they sell, they get some money back. If they're buying a house, it has to be something that if they sell, they'll get some money back. Now, another thing rich people do that keeps them rich is they have long-term thinking, especially the ones that have financial advisors. What keeps them rich is they have long-term thinking. They plan ahead. So there's a saying, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. Rich people plan long term. So their investments are planned long term. Their wealth structure is planned long term. Their insurance policies are planned long term. Their wealth diversifications are planned long term. Any businesses, stock, shares, businesses they buy into, they plan long term. That's part of what keeps them rich, right? So if you are looking to invest in any business, always plan long term, always project the sustainability of that business. So building wealth is not just about 1 year, it's about 10 to 20 years. Remember what I always say, getting rich, there's nothing like getting rich overnight. You build wealth over a long period of time, not in 2 months, 5 months, 1 year, few days. No. So it's a matter of you consistently investing what you have and building over a long period of time to safeguard your future, to safeguard when you are much older. Rich people don't chase income, they build systems, sustainable systems that keep them rich. That's just what they do. So when they're investing in any business, when they're investing in any business, they are not just focused about investing in business because they feel like it. They invest in the business because they want to know what is the return on investment. How much am I going to make from this investment? How much profit am I going to make from this investment? So they don't just spend because they feel like spending. Everything they invest in, that is for the really smart, rich ones that actually are very investment keen. They map out the kind of investments they want to invest in, and they make sure that they're investments that if they need to close out under emergencies, they will not lose everything that they have. So, which is why I also say that one of the things they do is they invest in insurance as well. That's one of the things rich people do. But sadly, many other people work so hard, 2 jobs, 3 jobs, 5 jobs, and they still don't know anything about. So if you're buying a house, you need to insure your house. If you're buying a car, you need to insure your car. If you're investing, you don't invest in only one kind of investment, you invest in several types of investments. And then when we're talking about spending, what is your spending culture? Do you understand what your financial worth is as at now? Every quarter, you are supposed to be checking what your financial worth is. How much are you worth? How much are your assets? So no matter how small you are earning, I know people say, "Oh, I'm not earning thousands of dollars. I'm not earning millions of dollars. So how am I going to be rich? How am I going to be wealthy if I'm earning such a small amount of money?" And what I always say is, you have to start from somewhere. So if you're earning $100 and you want to be saving $10, $20 every month, that is fine. You can have an insurance policy, but that there are several types of investments, real estate, insurance, stock. There are different kinds of investments that can accommodate however small capital you have. This is the strategy that rich people use. So in consecutive live sessions, I'll be talking about investments, different type of investments, and it will be great to see you there for those live events. So basically, the summary of everything is rich people, first of all, have a different ideology about money. And the major thing is just basically assets acquisition. They acquire assets. That is the major thing. I've spoken about insurance, I've spoken about diversification of your funds, I've spoken about not investing everything in one place, I've spoken about low emotional spending, I've spoken about investing in businesses and looking at your returns on investment. And if the return on investment is high, you reinvest in the business. But the summary of everything is that rich people stay rich simply by investing and acquiring assets. That is just it. While someone else who is working so hard but lacks financial knowledge will just get their income and invest in nothing and spend in things that have no value. But a rich man, the more money he gets, the more you see him acquiring things. There's so many rich people you see, they have houses in different parts of the world. And it's not all of them that started with wealth. Some of them started really poor. But you know what? They grew their wealth by investing wisely, by investing in assets that keep the value of their original capital and earns more on those capital. All right. So if you have any questions for me, please feel free to drop in the comment section. Don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel where I'll be sharing with you more financial tips to help you to become financially stable, help you to make financial decisions, help you to grow wealth, and of course, understand more about how to use your money, how to spend your money, and how to grow your money. Thank you so much for staying with me this far, and I look forward to seeing you in my next live session tomorrow morning. And like I said, you can feel free to ask me any questions or drop any observations you have on my video. Please stay safe, invest, build your assets, make good financial decisions, and I'll be seeing you in the next live session tomorrow. Take care.